So what my wife and I do is she'll drive one way and I'll drive the other, and whoever's not driving will spend the 25 minutes, 30 minutes doing work. So that way we're just more efficient with our time. We try to be as efficient as we can because, when you have an obligation and you have to provide a service, you have to back up the service you're providing.
Be on the ball.
And I don't want to work at 10 o'clock at night, so I try to be as efficient as I can all day long up until I stop working. A lot of people complain about lack of communication with coaches, or they're waiting days to get an answer back. Like, I try not to be that because, if you're paying somebody online to give you a service, like, you should receive an answer that day. No question about it. So what's up? Today we're at Universal Fitness in Waterbury. Lately, my wife and I have been training together consistently. We're doing 2 days on and 1 day off split. It's working really well. I don't mind training with her. As long as her friends aren't around, then she gets chatty. But other than that, we work out pretty well together. Today we did back and bis. I actually usually do biceps first and then back. And the reason being is I get tendonitis easily in my biceps and my forearms. So doing the biceps first sometimes warms up my bicep tendons before I train back, because back tends to be when I hurt them. But today I did reverse. We did back and then we did biceps. And we started with the pull down, independent grip, neutral grip. And I would come up, stretch, and protract my shoulders as high as I can, elevate my shoulders as high as I can, and then pull my shoulder blades down and in, and come down with a palms facing me grip. And the reason I do that is I get an incredibly good connection to my lats and a good squeeze. And actually the person who showed me that is Jordan Shallow. So I was getting a little more stretch, get a little more teres minor and major, and pull those lats all the way down and retract the shoulder blades. And I really kind of based the weight on how it feels and my ability to collapsing my shoulder blades all the way together, retract them all the way together. The second I feel that those lats focus is off, that's where I cap the weight. Then I walked over to the mag grip, the wide mag grip, pronated grip, and I get a real good squeeze in my lats there. And that's one thing I have trouble a lot with is readable bicep shot. So kind of trying to build the muscles in the upper back, teres minor, major, get a little more width out top, at the top of the shoulder here. And I get such a good connection to the exercise. And unfortunately, that will be my last week doing that exercise. I stay with the same exercises 3 weeks at a clip. And then the fourth week will be like 15 rep sets of a new set of exercises. And then I'll go heavier for 3 weeks, change it, repeat. But I'll stay with that same set of exercises. Then we went over and we did a seated row, cable row, independent arms, which I like the most because, everybody's got a weaker or stronger side, and sometimes when you have the stronger side attached to the same bar, I pull crooked because I do have a little scoliosis. So I feel the most in my lats when I'm using the independent row. Feels great, but again, that'll be my last week doing that. 3 sets, warming up to my final weight. The sets that I start with, sets 1, 2, 3, or even 4 sometimes, are my feeler sets, I call them. Kind of judging what I need to use in my last set weight, and then I'll base it. Second to last set, I'll base that weight on what I do in my final set to make sure I stay within the rep range I want. And most important, I keep that connection on the lat, because the second that connection's gone, dude, I'm just yanking everything, pulling everything, and I want to be more isolated in what I train, because back is something genetically I'm not blessed with, so I have to really focus and really think about what I'm doing, or it just doesn't grow. And then I did a bent over close grip T-bar row, and just did 3 sets there. And that was actually really good today. I felt a good squeeze in my lats. And the same thing, I judged the weight based on how it feels. And obviously I have a projected idea of what weight I'm gonna use based on last week. But that felt really good today. And then for biceps, I don't do very much for biceps. My arms have grown so much more since I've been doing way less. And I usually only do 2 exercises and then sometimes a burnout set. So I will always do some variation of a regular curl, whether it be a machine curl or a standing alternate dumbbell curl. And today I did standing alternate dumbbell curl, 1 arm at a time. Don't really like to alternate them that much. So I'll gonna stay and twist, do one side at a time, and then switch to the other. And then I always will do some form of hammer curls. Hammer curls have been great for me. I get a really good connection to my brachialis, brachioradialis, and I notice a lot of good growth from them. But you don't realize that, like, your biceps here, but your brachialis runs in between your tricep and your bicep. So sometimes kind of building that muscle, which obviously you're hitting that brachialis when you're doing any type of curl, but you hit it more when you're doing a hammer curl, kind of helps push out the bicep a little bit more. And then my last set, I did a cable burnout, just as many reps as I could, of really real lightweight, maybe 50% of what I would normally use for 8 rep max. And just did as many reps as I can to pump as much blood in there as I can. I like to do sometimes pump sets like that when I'm injured or close to being injured, to get as much blood flow in there as possible, because the more blood flow you get, the more nutrients you get to the muscle, more nutrients get to the area to heal. If you're training super heavy and you're slightly injured, you're gonna cause more tearing, less blood flow gets in there. That's my theory. This is how we do it every day. So she drove here, I worked, now I'm driving back, she's working, and I'm gonna eat my post-workout meal, which is that rice and grinds, peanut butter flavored cream of rice, good old Granny Smith apples, cinnamon, and some salt. I've got about 65, 70 grams of carbs here. I eat on the way home, and then get back to work. About an hour and a half later, I'll have another meal. I eat 6-ounce meat portions. Some people seem to think that you can't, I heard this the other day, that you can't grow muscle on 6 ounces of protein per meal. I've never heard something so stupid in my life. I actually only ate 4 ounces per meal for years. And I went from a body weight of 170, 169, 170 on stage, my first show, to 204 pounds shredded on stage, eating 4 ounces of meat per meal. So obviously, if you have less protein, you're gonna need more carbs or more fat. Have that protein sparing effect. So it was like, you can't say a generalization, say you have to have this X number of protein to be able to put on muscle. It's a silly claim. Obviously, everybody's different, and obviously ends up being a calorie content issue where obviously if you have less protein, you need to fill those calories with something else, so you have the protein sparing effect. A lot of people like to have that extra cushion where they will follow a lower carbohydrate diet because they know there's a higher thermal effect of protein, less likely to turn to fat. So if you eat an excess amount of protein, lower carbs, lower fat, you can build muscle and stay on the leaner side. I really don't know what to say about that. I can't really, but that's what people do. But you can't make generalizations where, you can't do this or this won't happen. So this is in review. This is 2 teaspoons of olive oil or 10 grams of fat added, of lime infused olive oil, 2 rice cakes, 30 grams of carbs, handful of spinach wilted down with a touch of olive oil to shrink it down, add a little salt, some baby carrots, my citrus fruit, got about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in here, and diet Snapple half and half. And I'll legitimately have this meal 3 times a day, but I'll change out the fruit to something else, apple or berries, and I'll do that 3 times. And then my ending dinner, my last meal of the night, will usually either be like bison, grass-fed steak, or salmon with white potatoes or a sweet potato, and then like a side salad, romaine lettuce, and then sometimes I'll have a fruit, but mostly I've been doing more potatoes as of late. And people are like, oh, how do you stay on plan? I like eating like this. I really do, and I guess that's comes from my parents, because generally when you what you crave is what you're given as a child, because that becomes your habitual comfort. And when you're younger and your mom makes you food and you say it's like pizza bites every day, well, eventually you're gonna crave pizza bites every day, even into an adulthood, unless you change that pattern of eating. So my parents always were like, dinner was always like a meat, a starch, a vegetable, a meat, a starch, a vegetable. So that's what I kind of got used to. And, or we'll go get sushi, or we'll do breakfast and do pancakes. That's really kind of all I stay between. I actually don't do burgers and fries as much as I used to. No, for no particular reason. Just my wife's not a huge burger and fry fan. And I could either take sushi over burgers any day. But that's kind of how I eat.